What is going on, everybody? Yo, Futurama peace, dude. Adventure in the land of science. I have 1 hour. I was like, you know what? I have a few options in front of me. I can stream some trails. I can watch the last two episodes of One Piece that I still haven't watched. I can watch that Anya greatness, Spy Family, which I still need to watch the two. I think there's 2 episodes out now of this season. But I said, no, none of that. That Oda greatness is calling for you, boy. I have to talk about this, man. Like, it was burning inside. You feel me? Like, this was just one of those chapters. I genuinely, with every fiber in my being, loved the initial reading experience for this chapter. It was just the mysteries, trying to piece everything together, from a storytelling standpoint, obviously, but just trying to figure out what exactly we're doing here on Egghead Island, and multiple different plot points that are currently surfacing. I mean, with all the different reveals, and Robert D is on the way, but above all of that, for me, the adventure piece section with Luffy, Bonnie, Bogey, Jinbei, and Chopper exploring with the Vegapunk Atlas unit in the Epcot section of this island is some of my favorite stuff that I have experienced this year for One Piece. This was so much fun. I can't stop thinking about this section. This right here is exactly why the adventure piece stuff in this series is so special. I mean, it's got the comedy, it's got the mystery, it has all different insane possibilities. You're seeing Oda utilizing his creativity to the highest extent. And so for me, my biggest takeaway this week, more than the crazy and amazing reveals with Bogey and Bartholomew D. Bogey, right? Shout out to Jack Mihawk in the stream this week, for bringing that up, because that's so true. Yeah, it really is Bartholomew Bonnie now. Like, that's insane. And then of course Robert D's on the way, and he's having second thoughts, and I think that's so interesting and something I can't wait to unpack when it comes to his character. Now him, Stussy, Kaku, like what are they going to run into whenever they bring in what appears to be a Seraphim Kuma into Egghead Island? What are they going to do? Is this going to turn into a quote-unquote civil war between Cypherpole, Aegis Zero, and Sword? Because we know that Smoker's probably going to be here as well, and Helmeppo was also trying to go after a Seraphim unit, so it's like, yo, what's going to happen there with those two? Are they going to collide? Are we going to see two sides of justice colliding right then and there? Or is it going to be a combination of the three? And the Straw Hats, of course, getting involved too. Who's going to be clashing on that side? You know what I mean? I want Lucci to see Gear 5. I just want Gear 5 to come back. You know what I mean? Like, in some way, I don't care if it's against Vegapunk. I don't care if he one-shots Lucci. I don't care what it is. I just want to see the white hair, the legendary pose, like, dog, the eyes, Toon Force, Luffy Toon's energy. That is what I want to see more than anything else, especially in a place like this. Could you imagine Gear 5th with futuristic technology? So it's like he already has the ability to be extremely wacky and chaotic without all of this. Imagine Luffy with all of these tools at his disposal to be able to just be like, you know what? Futurist technology over here. I'm gonna make this dragon into rubber and this hologram. Let's see if we can actually touch the hologram in Gear 5th. That'd be the coolest thing ever. That would really show how insane Gear 5th is. So, obviously, that's what I want to see the most. But for right now, the adventure piece section in this chapter, like, I can't stop thinking about the initial double page spread whenever they show up and they arrive, and here you have the holograms, the Solaris thing from Xenogears on the left, and then you have the snow globes, because like I said in the reaction, the snow globes was such it was one of those, like how, for example, how we all expect there at this point after Final Fantasy VII, there's gonna be like a wall market type of moment in a lot of series that followed after that, right? Like you see that trope in a lot of different stories, and it's one of my favorites. But in that same regard, like when it comes to sci-fi stories, and specifically whenever somebody's coming in from another time period into the future, this snow globe thing has popped up at so many different points, and I just love how Vegapunk's section of the island here showing the futuristic technology, the 500 years in the future, is covered in rocket ships and snow globes and big giant robots and mechanical dragons. I mean, I think that's just the coolest thing ever. And this panel is just great. It reminds me of the panel whenever we first arrived on Zoe, and Luffy's looking out and he's seeing the entire island on the massive elephant's back. It's just one of those great panels overall, just over here and then over here seeing the hologram itself, and I love it. I loved the entire adventure piece section of this chapter, but I really wanted to talk about that. I was like, you know what, this is my stuff right here. This is one of my favorite things about One Piece, is going into a new island, exploring what it is that it has to offer, and especially for Vegapunk. And so, just from an adventure standpoint, this does look like the type of arc that is going to have a similar type of weight as a Skypiea, as a Thriller Bark, in regards to just seeing what the island has to offer is going to be equally as intriguing as the plot itself. And so, and especially whenever the two start intertwining, like they did in this chapter, that's whenever it really starts getting exciting. And so, Egghead Island already 2-3 chapters in, automatically goated. You know what I mean? Like it's off to a fantastic start. I'm enjoying it so much. But now let's get into the comments. Let's get into the brilliant ideas that y'all have sent me. Now, I'm recording this on Saturday, so if you have submitted a comment after Saturday, I greatly apologize. This is midday Saturday, so if you put a comment after midday Saturday, I did not get to it, so I greatly apologize for that. But I got it over here today. Let's go ahead and put it over here. So here we go. Dude, this chapter was so amazing, man. It just had everything that at the beginning of a One Piece arc should have. Intrigue, character moments, the adventure, the lore, Robert D pulling up, you know, like what more do you need? So first comment, we got my boy Recon. Shout out to Recon. Says, I got a theory. That's what I like to hear. We'll learn more about how Vegapunk split his consciousness. This will be the key to possibly understanding so this will be the key to possibly understanding wills, and that will lead us into learning more about devil fruits and their origin. I love that. I think Vegapunk is essentially putting the will of a living thing himself into inanimate objects, like the 6 satellites that we saw in this chapter. So it would be kind of like what Big Mom does with her fruit, except it's literally like transmitting yourself into other things, which it sounds insane, but if anybody can do it, it's Vegapunk. You feel me? Since Oda has tightened up his storytelling these 5 chapters, I can easily see one event in story like this one explaining multiple things. That's true. It's like one event that's going to cover multiple different things, so that way Oda can continue the pace that he's on at the moment. Why things can eat fruits, how Luffy's fruit works, and what other fruits are, and how wills play a role. Dude, Recon. We're starting off the Afterthoughts this week with a banger. So let me go ahead and split this up a little bit here. So about the Vegapunk split his consciousness, we're definitely going to get to that. No questions. Now about possibly understanding wills and going into learning more about fruits and their origins. This is going to be the interesting part about that, like we talked about when 1044 dropped. We're looking forward to the day that we learn about the origin of fruits, and especially who the original wielders of those fruits are, because that is going to give us the biggest insight into what exactly they were talking about, or not even the insight, the answer to what exactly they were talking about when they said that the Gomu Gomu no Mi, now the Nika Nika no Mi, that it chose Luffy. And I was like, what? And so when you get that, it's like we started turning into some Fullbring type stuff. You know, the Fullbring arc in Bleach. And like literally, like the reason why certain things you're more attached to than others is because you feel that soul, right? Like that was the base concept of the Fullbring arc, right? Like feeling the soul within certain objects, taking that soul out. And so if we're running into something like that here with fruits, I wonder if we're going to get that explanation when Luffy uses Gear 5 and Vegapunk finds out who he is. And it gives off the explanation of what exactly Nika Nika no Mi is, and the choice, right? Like why Luffy was chosen by the fruit, or whatever the case may be, right? Like that is going to lead into, like you said, the wills, and that'll tie into the origin of fruits. It's going to have to, especially if, like I said before, if the origin of fruits is something insane, like literally certain things that were punished, these humans who were punished and turned into fruits. And thus, these fruits, when you eat them, it's kind of like 2 souls fused into one. But like I said, when 1044 dropped, That to me is going to be one of the most interesting things coming out of the Vegapunk conversation, because of its direct connection to what happened, what actually happened when Luffy awakened in 1043, going into 1044, because we still don't have an explanation for that. We do not know why. It's why I continue to tell everybody to wait, because whenever Luffy got back up and there was no consequences following that, I was like, yo, we need to wait. Because when it comes to Gear 5, when it comes to Devil Fruit Awakenings, we need to, I feel like Luffy's in particular is going to be so key to the origin of fruits, that it is why Vegapunk needs to see Gear 5 with his own eyes, and then we are going to receive the answer that we wanted back when 1043, 1044 dropped. Of like, how in the world was this possible? How was Luffy able to resurrect himself utilizing the Nika Nika no Mi in its awakening? Like, did he need to die in order to activate this awakening for the first time? Like, it's so, because just imagine, right? Imagine that the original Nika, that was the way in which he was perceived to be this godlike figure, an individual who literally resurrected. Like, how could you not? If you don't know what fruits are, if you're gonna be like, okay, sorcery, magic, whatever it is, right? But no, it is literally just a fruit. Nika, unknowingly, potentially having eaten this, was going through his life, doing his thing. One day he died, and then immediately after dying, exactly what happened with Luffy, comes back up to life, and you're like, oh, that's a godlike figure to me. And so that, to me, is why that's so important, because imagine we get that piece of context, then we're gonna be like, oh my god, are all fruits the same? I'm sorry, how different are all fruits? Because we know that Law and Kid didn't have to die to activate their awakening. So it's like, everyone has these different things that they need to do in order to activate their Devil Fruit Awakenings. And we have no idea which one is required for, since we only saw what was required for Luffy's awakening. But it's that type of stuff, to me, that's most interesting. And then you go into the whole stuff with the wills of the fruit themselves, which goes into, like we said earlier, a potential being that resides within that fruit, or maybe that once resided within that fruit, was turned into a fruit. And that's why there is a sort of soul within the fruit itself, right? And that's the reason why they can't swim. Somebody who was punished so long ago, right, still weighing down people to this day. And it's why the Void Century flashback fascinates me so much, is for those types of concepts and ideas. And we could start digging into that here with the Vegapunk stuff. But I love your idea on, because of course we talked about Nagato Pain, right, from Naruto. And if you haven't watched Naruto, go watch it, or read it, whatever it is, especially the Pain stuff, man. Pain stuff is so goated. But just experience the entire thing. It's one of the big three, without question, worth experiencing. But in Naruto with Pain, I don't want to spoil it because it's a major plot point, so I'm going to talk about it. If you do not want to get spoiled on it, please skip ahead like 15 seconds. So Pain, Nagato I should say, was like putting his energy into 6 different mechanical pains, quote unquote, right, into nodes. And he was able to control them from one source because of how much chakra he had, right? So he was able to put it into all these nodes and control them all with his mind, right? And what they could all do, but they were all coming from him. And so when we saw last week the O2 unit and the 12, which is interesting that it only goes up to 6. So and we got the explanation for the 6 this week, but it goes up to 6, just like Pain. You know, the 6 paths of Vegapunk, literally. But it's interesting how Oda's setting this up in regards to keeping the mystery as to how Vegapunk is able to do this. Because like you said, this week we've got a major hint in regards to the Stella system and Vegapunk, and the satellites. So it's like, I love that. It's just like, it's like the Big Mom thing. It's like, how is Vegapunk ever able to do that? Unless, like you said, knowing the origin of fruits is able to extract the soul out of it. That's insane if that's true, man. That is so insane. But I'm digging this, Recon. And you're absolutely right. Like, at this point in the game, it looks like we're going to have to go through where one event is going to cover multiple different things. Like how this week's chapter covered multiple different plot points. And it just all flowed very well. And so that looks to be the way in which Oda wants to keep this pace at this point in time. But thank you, Recon, bro. Great comment. Next one coming in from OMG. Shout out to OMG, who comes in and says, sorry if this was already mentioned during the live. I haven't gotten to watching it yet. But yeah, any thoughts on the 6 other Vegapunks being called satellites? And the One Piece world literally having 6 moons. We did not talk about that. That fascinates me. please disregard the question if it's been talked about. So let me go ahead and talk about that first. Yo, you just blew my mind there. That's so true, and especially whenever we started thinking about or we started in in the stream. What we did talk about was the potential meanings behind each of the Vegapunks, right? And where that could take us with each individual character, their personalities, the origin, right? An actual history, what was Oda's inspirations for stuff like that. But connecting to potentially to the 6 moons, and that could be, and then the rocket ships, bro. You're spitting. OMG, you're spitting. There's a certain thing there that like I can't. There's like this one missing piece, and that's the one that Oda is holding on to. Space, 6 moons, multiple rocket ships, the snow globe, 700 years into the future. Oh, Vegapunk is cooking. Yo, you just blew my mind, OMG. Real talk, bro. You just blew my mind. I did not even think about the 6 moons thing. Every time I think of that, I always think about King of Lightning. So I'm sure he immediately thought of that, because he was the first person I ever heard talk about the 6 moons thing, like 10 years ago or something. But man, OMG. So let's continue. Also, the fascinating thing for me this chapter is the emotions behind the characters. Big growth for the crew, with Zoro and Robin having that more confident and composed stance against Lilith. Facts. It's like we're an Emperor's crew now, and Zoro and Robin were like, "Yo, we're taking care of business. Our captain's not here, but we're here. You got something you need to say? Like, yo, we took down Kaido. Lilith, you may look menacing. You have this giant robot, but we just whooped Kaido. Who are you to Kaido? I can't blame him. I can't blame him. Make him possibly feeling like Kaido being on top and whatnot. Yeah, facts, right? Just thinking about him being 500 years ahead of everyone else means he's never on the same page with anyone. That's factual. And that's darn lonely. Exactly. It does have that type of Kaido Mihawk energy, right? Like I've always said, the Mihawk is going to have that type of story, which is why I can't wait to get Mihawk's flashback. And now to say that, I can't wait for Vegapunks, because whenever you're at the top for so long, you're waiting for someone else to get there, especially if you want to keep going, right? Like there's certain people that get to the top and then they lower themselves to somebody else's level just so they have somebody to have as their rival to talk to, whatever the case may be. But Vegapunk looks like somebody who's never satisfied. And so, maybe perhaps that is the reason why Vegapunk created multiple clones of themselves, to not be so lonely. Man, I can't even bear to imagine how that would feel. Also, Lucci question, that's kind of like whenever you're a kid and you're playing with toys, and especially like if there's no one else with you to play or something, and like you're creating this as you go, like if this action figure something to the other action figure. It's kind of like what Vegapunk's doing with the Vegapunks. It's like, yo, I'm with this toy, I'm doing this, with this toy, I'm doing this, and that really is a sign of loneliness. I didn't think about that. Yo, OMG out here, dog. I can't even bear to imagine how that would feel. Also, Lucci questioned the WG's purpose behind this order. He's the guy who follows and asks questions. Exactly right. I was worried about him fighting Luffy would be narratively repetitive, but now I think it would be amazing growth for him to face Luffy as a different Lucci. Yes, me too. And even if it's not a fight, if it's like a scuffle, and they have a conversation to showcase the difference in Robert D. Lucci now, especially after all this, because it really does feel like the Leloucia thing. Not only just Leloucia, it feels like the Mealsguard stuff in 907 and the Leloucia stuff is starting to cause Lucci to waver. And that's so interesting because he was the last person I was expecting to waver. I always thought Lucci would be like a Kainu until the end of the series and never really changed his stance, but if Oda does want to give him some proper character growth, man, what an amazing thing that would be. For us to like Lucci, like I love Lucci because I love villains, but to genuinely like Lucci as a character after everything that they did, I mean, he was just doing his job, right? But he was a menace. He most certainly was a menace in Enies lobby. So for him to have that change, and we know the type of the dark backstory that he had, dude, I'm down for that. I'm so down for that. Anyway, this chapter is great. Great time to be alive. Facts. Yo, OMG. Amazing comment. I'm gonna keep thinking about that 6 moons thing. You really blew my mind with that one, especially with all like the futuristic and like the rockets. So many rockets here. Like has Vegapunk attempted it to go up to space yet? It's like, because I was thinking back to the NL cover story. We saw like the other dude that was up there with the space pirates. Man, but great comment, OMG. Thank you so much, yo. So the next one comes in from Iron SOTG. Shout out to Iron SOTG, who says, I want to learn more about Vegapunk and why he does the things that he does, the motivations. Me too. Me too. Like, what is it that either clicked with Vegapunk whenever he was younger that caused him to get so obsessed with this? Was it an event? Is it just curiosity? Was it a traumatic experience? I want to know. I want to know. Also want a relationship to flourish between him and the Straws. Me too. Me too. Maybe Luffy will present something that he's been searching for since forever. I think that's Gear 5. I'm going to keep it real with you. I think that's Gear 5. I honestly do believe that, or at least the Nika no Mi in general. Like, I feel like Vegapunk is going to want to use Luffy as a test subject after seeing the Nika form. Because that is history living itself out before his very eyes. And if Vegapunk truly knows the origin of fruits, and I'm going to assume that Nika no Mi is very important to the origin, he's gonna want to experiment, you know, as any good scientist would. And so I feel like that's where that's gonna start flourishing. Like, oh, I have to protect the specimen at all costs. This is Nika, you know what I mean? This is very, very important to me. And especially after, then it's gonna change from it specifically being the Nika no Mi to no, this is Monkey D. And I'm sure that Luffy is going to cause some sort of change, as he does to everyone that he meets inside of Vegapunk. And I really, they're gonna come hand in hand, Iron. They're gonna come hand in hand because in order to understand what it is that's gonna change inside of Vegapunk thanks to meeting Luffy, we have to figure out what motivates them in the first place. Like, what motivates them, what has caused all of this to happen with Vegapunk in the first place, so that whenever that change does end up happening, we're gonna understand. And so yeah, no, that's gonna go hand in hand. I do believe it's Nika though. I do believe that once Vegapunk sees Gear 5, it's going to immediately snap. Like, oh snap, oh man. So I think that's and if I'm trying to think about if there's like a second thing that I would put there too. Thousand Sunny, Frankie. Nah, I think it's gonna be Nika. I mean, it's probably gonna, it's Oda, so it's gonna be something else. But nah, yo. I think it's gonna be Nika. I do. I really do think it's gonna be the Gear 5 form, and that's me like hoping because I really want to see it in this arc. But genuinely, I do believe that that might be like the most likely scenario. But thank you so much, Iron. That's facts. Like, what in the world is motivating Vegapunk? My dog Michael Mickles comes in with the next comment. Shout out to my boy. It says, it seems that Vegapunk's 6 Stellas have names that are related to the moon. So maybe that's where his main body... Oh, that's where his main body is. That would be insane, Michael Mickles. So it's like Vegapunk is currently controlling all of these from up there. And that would... Oh, bro, imagine that as a plot point. Where we get that reveal, the real Vegapunk is actually on the moon. Oh, and that connects back to what Recon and OMG were talking about. That might be the missing piece. So... if Vegapunk is on the moon, projecting himself through satellite into these 6 different forms, but then it's like, then eventually we'd have to go up there too, or Vegapunk would have to come down. But for me, I would love to go up there. So it's like, would Egghead lead us to go up to space? Is that a potential possibility? Because we've always believed that Laugh Tale could potentially be in space. That is a theory that's been around for a very long time. But if Laugh Tale's not in space, and it's actually, you know, in the red line, X marks the spot, all that stuff, right? Then what better than to actually go to space now? And that Egghead Island is actually a Jaya to Moon Arc Skypiea. Oh, that would be amazing. So Egghead Island would serve as a Jaya, as a precursor to the real insanity that would be them going to the moon. Dude, Michael Mickles, man. That's where his main body is, and he'll show up with NL as his bodyguard. If anything involving NL, and you already know to me, that's going to be a 50 out of 10 stuff. NL shows up in this arc, Egghead, like, bare minimum top 10 arc. Bare minimum, and I'm being very generous. Might go up to 5. Also, just realized that Bonnie is yet another princess that will be connected to Luffy and the crew. That's facts. Bonnie's going to be playing the role of Vivi, of Rebecca, and the princesses Shirahoshi that we know up until this point, except in Bonnie's case, it's going to be a connection to Kuma and the Sorbet Kingdom. And so it really does feel like if Bonnie's able to go back home to the Sorbet Kingdom after this. In the final war, we're going to have Alabasta, Fishman Island, Dressrosa, and well, on top of like Drum Island and what is it called? The Drum King, the Sakura Kingdom, I think it's called. Now, regardless, and of course the Sorbet Kingdom. So all these places with their massive armies are going to be able to follow us into battle because they're associated with the Go with the Coat. Their princess is associated with the Go with the Coat. Looks like we could be getting another ally for the final war and more Yonko territory. So Sorbet Kingdom being Yonko territory, I'm so down for. Bonnie actually, as a pirate, going under the Strat flag is already hype enough. But having the Sorbet Kingdom be Luffy territory or Egghead, oh no, Egghead Island being Luffy's territory would be insane. Could you imagine Dr. Vegapunk's island, especially now that the WG is trying to eliminate Vegapunk for one reason or another. Luffy's like, nah, dunk, puts the flag down. Egghead Island. This man is gonna have Wano and Egghead Island, the land of the future. So he's gonna have the land that was stuck in the past and the land that's in the future. Who's doing it like my goat? The land that was stuck in the past and the land that is in the future. Oh, no, that's too filthy, dude. You gotta put that on this bounty poster. Monkey D, the man whose territory is in the past, the present, and the future. That's the greatest of all time. You know, that's the greatest of all time, bro. I mean, if we didn't already have the facts presented before us, if Luffy gets Egghead Island, oh no, yeah. Y'all think I'm hyping up Luffy now. Wait until that happens. Wait until that happens, man. Endless supply of burgers and fries in the shake? Come on. Yo, Michael Mickles, man. Great comment, dude. And when we go back to the moon stuff, it's like, yo, man. Yo, Egghead could be even crazier than I initially anticipated, dude. Holy flaggers. Thank you so much, brothers, sisters, all my people. These comments are blowing my mind today. Blowing my mind. Thank you, bro. So next one comes in from Subra. Shout out to Subra. Start off, thank you, Goat, for talking about my thoughts of him up with Laz. Dude, that conversation with Laz, if you have not watched the collaboration I did with Laz during the break week, we had so much fun talking about potential possibilities in the future of Egghead and the story itself. It was so much fun. You two are my faves, and believe me, I was happy when I saw you two liking my theory. Don't say sorry again, I'll be angry. Okay, I got you. I wasn't sorry again. Now for the theory parts. Theory number 1. Kuma wants to sacrifice himself to save Bonnie. I think the Sorbet Kingdom was announced to be executed, and Kuma sacrifices himself as the king. I could see that. He decided to become a test subject to protect the nation. However, he told the world government not to hurt Bonnie in return. That also explains why Akainu didn't do anything to Bonnie. Also, this will be a nice parallel to Kuma saving the Sunny again and sacrificing himself. Wait, so that would make Kuma about as good of a pops as Whitebeard. Well, I don't know if anybody can be as good as a pops as Whitebeard. Can we get much higher? No one can get higher than Whitebeard. That is pops. But if you want to get close, then what you're showing me right here with Kuma, man, that would be, not only would that be beautiful, but it would also give us that emotional core to Bonnie's flashback, because we know it's incoming, right? The Bonnie Kuma flashback. And Kuma would sort of be in that like Corazon type of role, except whereas Corazon died and Law had to deal with that, right? Bonnie still has to deal with the fact that her failures, her weakness, lives within Kuma that is still with the Revolutionary Army today. An individual is still alive. An individual is still being used by multiple different sources, right? And multiple different territories and people and alliances. And so, in Bonnie's case, she has to literally live with that every single day. So that's got to be tearing her apart, man. And so, absolutely, that something like that happening and explaining why it is that this whole Kuma Bonnie thing is taking place, I can most certainly see that being the case, especially with, like you said, the reason being as to why Bonnie was protected by Akainu. Besides, of course, making him younger, but that to me makes a lot of sense. That to me makes a lot of sense, and the parallel to Kuma saving the Sunny, anything that gives us more context into that is going to be A-OK in my book. That is one of my favorite moments of Return to Sabaody, and so it was just such an emotional scene where I wasn't expecting it. And I remember when we got that call back in, what was that, 9:58? Whenever we saw the Sabo call, it's just like, it's insane. Insane. And so, number 2, Zoro and Yasue and Momo interconnects. I think the thing Zoro's gonna ask Small Fruit cure, 100%. I'm right there with you on that. Somebody brought that up in the stream, and that to me has to be it. It would add so much weight into the events of Wano Kuni to have a scenario presented from back then that we did not see the cure of. Remember, we did not get to see the cure of the smell of fruits. So now to be presented with the individual who's behind that, or the reason, the person who was originally behind like the experiments in the creation of the smell of fruits and Momonosuke stuff and all of that, right? So, or with Momonosuke's fruit, trying to clone Kaido's fruit and whatnot. And so with Vegapunk presented before him, he's going to have this opportunity to be able to talk about that. That's going to add that emotional weight to Wano that we just got out of. And it would be so good. I would love that. I need that to be the case, especially like you said, because remember how pissed off Zoro was in that section of the story after Hiyori was crying out to him specifically, letting him know exactly what was actually happening here on Wano. And this one is my personal thoughts. Blackbeard crew has 11 total members, including Aokiji and Blackbeard. We saw 3 on Amazon and Lily, left 8. Now, what I think is he divided the 8 into 4 groups with 2 commanders to buy the road poneglyphs. Interesting, and that's why Aokiji, as we think 2 commanders in WCI, which is thought about also Pudding kidnapped to read the poneglyph. You gotta see me in hands. Y'all know how much I love Pudding. You gotta see me in hands. All right, so I love Blackbeard, and from a storytelling standpoint, I'm down. It makes total sense. Big Mom would have a reason to go after Blackbeard. We would have that clash, Blackbeard versus Big Mom. That would be so goat, man. I would be so down for that, right? Give us that Karakuri versus whoever on Blackbeard's crew. I am so down for that, right? Obviously, allowing us to see both sides, both Yonko crews truly going at it. Oh man, that would be so much fun. But like you said, Blackbeard believing in his Titanic captains to the point to where he splits them off into 2s to go collect the road poneglyphs sounds like a very Blackbeard thing to do, to have the confidence to do that and be like, yo, we can do this. I believe in y'all. Go out and get it. That would actually be super dope. That's a great theory, Supra. That's a great theory. And in regards to, like I said, when it comes to Pudding right now, for people who know about the Three-Eyed Tribe, should be just as big of a target as Nico Robin. Just as big of a target. You know what I mean? And so for me, I'm like, yes. Especially Blackbeard? Like, yo, take her. Take her. And right now, that would mean that, oh, dude, a mini Impel Down with Pudding, Kobe, Helmeppo coming in, Aokiji. Oh, that's filthy. Dude, and if Sabo shows up, or Sabo's the one who like ends up being, because of course we don't know what happened to Sabo. So let's just say on Island Full of Lead or wherever it is that they're currently holding them, we come to a scenario where we have Pudding captured, Kobe captured, Helmeppo going there, he potentially gets captured too, Aokiji, who's in control of the situation right now, and after what happened in the Afterthoughts we talked about that week with the conversation with Kobe and Aokiji, which is going to take place, it has to take place. It's like all that happens, then what if Sabo and Vivi, or just Sabo shows up, and that would be a squad, dude. Sabo, Kobe, Pudding, Aokiji. Stop playing with me, man. That would be so peak. Subra, thank you so much for the comment, yo. Great stuff. Next one comes in from Sticky Nut Juice, who is talking about the chapter itself, the year of One Piece, and states, peak, goat, fire, raw, now you feel like #1. Gas. That's right, Sticky Nut Juice. You already know that what we're currently living through is the era of the final saga. The era of that goat, raw, fire, and peak, baby. That's what I'm talking about. Thank you so much, Sticky Nut Juice. Comment of the year right there, ladies and gentlemen. Comment of the year. The next one comes in from Bar M. Shout out to Bar M, who states, Luffy being an emperor now, Lucci shouldn't be able to even see him, let alone fight him. I said the exact same thing in the stream. Like, yo, against Luffy, you don't want to see Conqueror's coding Monkey D, let alone Gear 5 Conqueror's coding Monkey D. The go with the code? No, bro. Now, I'm not gonna disrespect Lucci here, but he legitimately might get the closest thing to the Bellamy treatment. If he legitimately tries Luffy, And there's no like altercation like we talked about earlier with OMG, with OMG's comment in regards to a potential character growth moment, or just a conversation between the two, or like a miniature scuffle that leads into a great moment on Lucci's side. If it's just him trying to throw hands, he's getting bodied. He don't want to see Luffy, bro. He does not want to see current modern day go with the coat, man. He's going to get Bellamy's son, or at least the closest thing to it. The closest thing to it. Are you getting Conqueror's coding? Conqueror's coding? Gear 5? Come on. Come on, man. Just like Brule said in Whole Cake Island, you can't reach an emperor that easily. Facts. You're like giving me chills, dude. It'd be easy. It'd be dope if Zoro, Jinbei, or Sanji handled that. Oh, I would love that. And we talked about this in the stream. There's a moment and a scene in Stampede where Crocodile and Lucci are both trying to get the log posts, and Zoro and Sanji are the ones that intercept them. So Sanji intercepts Lucci, and Zoro intercepts Crocodile. Sanji and Lucci, it's a battle I would love to see. That is, Rankyakus and Sanji, oh, dude, inject it, man. That would be a fight of legends just in terms of martial arts. Lucci versus Zoro, obviously for the rawness and swag, inject it. I would be so down for that. That'd be super cool. Then Jinbei, if he shows up on the Luffy side with like Luffy, Jinbei, Chopper, and Bonnie, Jinbei going in, oh, that vagabond drill, dude. You don't want to see my boy. I think that'd be great. So letting his commanders, letting his wings take care of the job, not him. I would love that. Or even Robin. Robin taking revenge for everything that happened to her. Yo, Robin versus Stussy needs to happen. If Robin going in against Lucci does not happen, I want to see Robin and Stussy go at it. Just because of the whole Cypher Pole history there. I think that would be so key. So clean. We would be able to see Stussy's abilities, and we'd be able to see Robin go in, and anytime Robin goes in, we're all happy. We're all happy. And so I would be down for that. I love it. Bar M, that is a great theory. Because like you said, in regards to, that would give us the opportunity to be like, no, this is an Emperor's crew now. They do not need, or Luffy himself does not need to, not necessarily be bothered with this, but to put his hand out there. Like, no, he has his wings. He has his other individuals that are there and ready to fight. And it's like, what better way than to have his wings go up in like swimwear? Yo, thank y'all so much for the comments. I appreciate y'all so much. This has been a great afterthought. So many great things to discuss. So many things to discuss. If only we could be here all day, man. Futurama piece is here. Future peak piece is incoming. I will see y'all. This has been the Texas Stew Afterthoughts. Have an awesome day. Take care, y'all.